Okay, we just left the Claystone Campground, Lake Tobosofsky in Macon, Georgia, and we're off on our second leg on the Gadget Guru's Escape the Humidity road trip. And where we're going to overnight tonight is in Sweetwater, Tennessee. Siren, you've been playing with the maps. What does that mean?
We're going through Atlanta.
Everybody's worst nightmare. So stay tuned because that starts right now on the Gadget Guru. When I travel, especially on a multi-leg trip where you need to focus on different routes, there's a ritual we go through. Siren, why don't you tell us about it?
Well, usually what we do is we already have the directions and the route that we know that we want to go. So then I go into Google Maps and I zoom in to every part of the entire trip and I look at how many lanes we have everywhere, and that way I know, if a lane is ending or if we're merging into another road or something like that. So I go in and I basically write up another description of the entire trip, basically, that explains more in detail how many lanes we have and where we should be and where we shouldn't be and things like that.
Now, if you've ever driven a motorhome, you know one of the most useful roles a co-pilot can play is when you're going through an intersection, especially in a busy city, to have your co-pilot or navigator say, hey, don't get in this lane because this lane's going to end. You don't want to be stuck with any last minute mergers. And, Siren's been doing her homework on this. Now, as you know, during this road trip, well, first of all, I planned it using the RV Trip Wizard program. And I'm starting to realize, and it's going to take me a couple more dates to really understand this program, and for me to tell you if it's something I'd recommend spending $39 a year on. I mean, first of all, the price is pretty affordable, but does it work? That I noticed that even though that we program in, like in this case, the motorhome's size, all the dimensions, and we put in, what our desired types of roads are. Unlike the Garmin, which we depend on, this is the Garmin 770, the RV Trip Wizard, for some odd reason, routed us straight through Atlanta. Now, if you've ever driven a bus, you know that, hey, it's worth the extra 15 to 30 minutes or so to go around Atlanta on, I believe it's 285, take that bypass. Atlanta is notorious for traffic. So when I looked at the route, I kind of scratched my head on that when I was thinking, why would they route a big bus or motorhome right to Atlanta? So that's something where I think they have the room for improvement. Now, let me point out that when you're doing your routing on the RV Trip Wizard, they do have a route shaping feature where you can drag the route so that if you were to go a specific way. But my question is, when you're traveling, especially when you're going long distances, you might not know the nuances of different cities. For example, if I didn't have this and I was relying on the RV Trip Wizard to tell me where to go, I'd be going straight to Atlanta. That's not something we wanted to. While our destination is Hardside Grove in Petoskey, Michigan, tonight we'll be overnighting in Sweetwater, Tennessee, the KOA there. Now let me tell you how I found that one. Of course, I'm reviewing the RV Trip Wizard. I used that program. I looked on the concentric circles between 250 and 300 miles. That fell right in there. In fact, it's a little bit shorter than my desired distance. But we're going through Atlanta. We have some hills to go through, so I figured that was probably a wise decision. The RV Trip Wizard is owned by the same company that owns RV Trip Reviews, IRV2, I believe Airforms, and a number of other motorhome sites. But because they are the same company as RV Trip Reviews, the RV Trip Wizard program has the reviews linked to RV Trip Reviews. Now, those are user reviews. And when you go through and you click on a campground and you go through the process of reading the reviews, if you see 4 or 5 reviews and they're all consistently either good, bad, or neutral, you know that they're probably pretty good. In the past, when I first got my motorhome, I relied on the Big Rig's Best Bets, either book or program. The problem with that was, I'm giving my editorial opinion here. Last year, Siren, you remember this one when we stopped at a campground in Central Florida, and it was far from Big Rig friendly. tree issues. The sites, we squeezed it in there. Now, if I had read the reviews, they were pretty positive about this place. I contacted the Big Rigs Bets people afterwards, and I never heard a peep from them, and I went back a few weeks later, and that campground was still on there. Okay, so today's trip is a total of 253 miles. One thing to note that, we're getting ready to approach Atlanta. From this point forward, we have an 88-mile stretch where there is no place to pull over. Really, there's no truck stops, and there's no rest areas. So we're going to continue on. I'll check back with you later in the trip. Okay, let me add one more thing. As I was editing the previous episode of the Gadget Guru's Escape to Humidity Road Trip, I got to come up with a shorter title next year. I received an email from the RV Trip Reviews people that they have done some updates to the programs and added some new features. Now, granted, because it's online, there was nothing to download. I mean, that's both positive and negative. And when I get to the next segment, and I kind of give you my overall opinion of the program, I'll go through what the pros and cons are. But I thought it was great that they did an update on the program. So anyway, we're getting ready to head through Atlanta, and our destination today is Sweetwater, Tennessee. We've made it through Atlanta, well, almost. We're on 285. As you can see, we're in really slow traffic right now. We have been for about, the last 20 or 30 minutes. Other than that, pretty uneventful. We did have one time where we had to stop pretty quickly. No issue, we did make it. Now, a couple things I wanted to point out. Going north on I-75 through Atlanta, before we got to 285 to bypass around, on the Garmin 770, oddly enough, it was telling us to take the express lanes. That was a mistake. We did not do it. There's a sign up there. It says that, I think you're limited to 6 wheels, but I don't know why that did that. This thing has been so reliable. As long as I'm talking about the Garmin 770, this is a really nice feature. It wasn't on the previous unit. This will be good, when you're getting to the mountains. It's an elevation feature. This way, when you're heading toward the mountains, you can see what's ahead of you, whether you're going up or you're going down. Just kind of nice to have as a visual that's real easy to read. The other thing that's really good to have in the bus is a CB, especially when you're going through places like Atlanta. We have Chattanooga coming up, because it gave us some advance warnings of, there was a truck or car stopped on the right side. It was backing lanes up, and it gave us a good opportunity. Okay, it's time to continue. We'll have a rest stop coming up. Then we're going to go through Chattanooga on the way to Sweetwater, Tennessee. As you can see, we've made it through the state of Georgia, and we've arrived in Tennessee. We're only here overnight. We're heading out tomorrow. And remember, the easiest way to keep posted on my news stories and videos is to simply like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegadgetguru. Don't forget to subscribe right here on YouTube. And if you like this video, you're surely going to like one of these. That's it for now. I'm the Gadget Guru, Indy Park.